Hello and welcome back to the piano school. Today we're on lesson 6 and we're playing a piece called Home. If you want to know who composed this, that would be my brother, and I put a link just in the description so you can check out his channel. But first things first, you've got to be able to get this music. So all you have to do is go to my website, join my school. I'm just robharveymusic.com, and I will send you an email with this music and all the prior ones before it. Anyways, let's take a look at it, pop it up on screen for you, and we've got the first line. What's different about this compared to For Duty? Well, firstly, we've got the BPM. This is in 90, the last one was in 72. So even though the semiquavers are more even, we've got to play them faster, basically. Then we're in the key of G major. Now G major has an F sharp. So if you have a look at the start of the piece, you can see there's only one sharp there compared to the 3 flats we had before. But we do have something else to think about. If you have a look at that first bar, first note is a B in the right hand, and it's going to be our third finger. Normally, our right hand has been on middle C the entire time. Now it's shifted. That's the premise of this piece. Whereas the left hand, if I just put this over here, is now staying pretty much in place, at least for section A, but the little finger will be moving down independently of the thumb, so we've got a bit of a stretch going on here. If you can't do these stretches, if it's a little bit too painful, don't worry about it, just play the top note or the bottom note, it's still going to work absolutely fine. Just give it a good practice so your hands start to get used to that movement. But to be honest, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Let's rewind, go back to that first bar. In the right hand, we got the Bs. Bs, crotchets on each beat, 1, 2 and 3. Then we have semiquavers, 4 of them, and they're on the last beat of a bar on bar 4. So they're going to be this sort of speed. So you've got to match the notes, match the fingers. You don't have to move your hand at all in this piece, so don't look at them, and just play that first bar. So you've got B, 2, 3, 4, E and A. See how I use the same timing we talked about last lesson? You can break it down, a bar, into beats, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then you can separate those beats into their halves, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then you can go half of a half, which gives you a semiquaver, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and A. So in that bar we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 E and A. And that gives us our timing. So the first line is just 2 repeats of that, followed by a few crotchets, a minim, and a couple more crotchets after that. I'm not going to go into it because it should be nice and easy by this point. Whereas in the left hand, we've got our little finger on G. And the note that we're seeing there, we haven't covered before, the note that's being played by the thumb. That note is 1 note above middle C, because you can see the line that would normally be there, the circle's on top of it. So if you have a look at the piano, you've got middle C. What note is directly up from C? Well, it's D. So we've got little finger on G, thumb on D, and that's where our hand is going to stay, or at least our thumb is. The next bar, we've got D again, and we've got F sharp being brought in, so our little fingers shuffling down what's called the G major scale. Now if you're not sure about what major scales are, I'll put a link in the description to my video, to my music theory lesson on those specifically. Then next up we've got E and D, and then D and D to give us our octave at the end of the line. Now why do I know that I should be playing an F sharp? Well, don't forget, at the start of the piece we have that key signature. That key signature tells us that every F is a sharp. So every time you see one on the page, immediately turn it to a black note. The one thing in the right hand, other than where it's positioned, that I want you to watch out for, is the finger positions. You've got third finger on the B for bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, but then in bar 4 we've got to get to that F sharp, and now you've got to get your second finger over the top. But that doesn't mean that your hand's shuffling down. No, that just means second finger over the top, and it's coming back for the next 2 notes in that bar. So if I play bars 3 and 4, we got B, G, 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 second finger over the top to the F sharp, back to G with the thumb, and then A with the second finger again. So we get a hand back in position. That pattern repeats 4 times in that piece, so get very used to going over the top. It's quite a common movement in most sheet music, so make sure you've got it perfected before you move on. Right then, let's play that first line. Hands together. Now I'm not too worried about dynamics at the moment. You can see we've got a P for quiet at the start and we've got a crescendo later in that line to get louder. However, I'm not going to practice those or play them until I'm entirely confident with the piece from start to finish. The dynamics are more a decoration that can be adjusted and altered very easily at the end once you've finished your majority of learning. So if we take a look at line 2, we don't have anything different to worry about other than a change in dynamics and a slightly adjusted note at the end of the line. In fact, I'm not even going to mention the note at the end of the line. However, in bar 5, we've got MF, and we haven't covered that yet. MF stands for moderately loud, and its technical term is mezzo forte. So at one end of the scale, and we know this from our previous piece, we've got forte, meaning loud. And just below that, we've got mezzo forte. So mezzo forte is not as loud, but it's more loud than quiet, if you get what I mean. And then you've got MP below that, moderately quiet, which is mezzo piano, and then you've got piano below that. So piano, mezzo forte, forte, quiet, moderately loud, loud. That's the ramping scale basically. So we're going from P in line 1 with a crescendo at bar 4 to mezzo forte in line 5. Again, not worried about dynamics until you've completed the piece. I'm just covering it now because I'm working my way through the music. Anyways, section B, we've got the change. As per line 3, something develops. The left hand is now doing fifths. It's moving about the piano. So maybe you're allowed a glance every now and then, but see if you can do it without looking. Preferably you actually want to look at the music while you do it, but if you can do it from memory and also not look at your fingers, that's also absolutely fine. I'm quite impressed I got that first time round, not gonna lie. In any case, the right hand has the same rhythm that we saw in section A. We've got the crotchet, 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 semiquaver times 4, but it's slightly different notes. Not gonna tell you, it's for you to work out. So that was the full line in the right hand. So technically we should watch out for those dynamics, especially if I'm going to play it to you. So at the start of that bar, I know it should be forte. In fact, that carries on until bar 3, where we've got a less than sign. That's a decrescendo, the opposite of a crescendo that we saw yesterday. You can either call it a decrescendo or you can call it a diminuendo. I quite like diminuendo, it sounds quite fancy. But all that means is just to get quieter, and it's a big jump from what I'm going for. I'm going from forte, which is at the top of a scale, with a very rapid, in one bar, reduction in volume down to that piano being quiet. So let me play both hands and see if I can do that for you. So the idea is that the tempo does not change based on volume. It's very easy to play faster when it's louder, but keep consistent even when you get to that absolutely quiet bit, because it should also feel like it's slowing down because I've lost the semiquavers in that bar, but don't be tricked. Still got to be nice and even, especially if you're playing it with the backing track. And now we're on to line 4, where we've got a couple of slight note adjustments, but other than that, the rhythms are exactly the same. Just keep an eye out for those changes. And the other thing I would say is that at the end of line 3, we had piano. Nice and soft. What did we have? We had that. But in line 4, we're suddenly jumping to loud again. So don't forget that. You've got to finish line 3 really quiet and jump back to loud again for the duration of line 4 until you've got another decrescendo and a piano. Next page. Not gonna lie, I do like my repetition. So basically we've got section A exactly again. From what I can see, I mean, I literally wrote this yesterday, but I can barely remember it. All I've done is I've removed the finger positions, because you should know where you are by now, and added a decrescendo in the last 2 bars of line 6, and those would be bars 23 and 24. So we've got decrescendo down to quiet. Furthermore, if you see above the F sharp in bar 24, which is just above the P for piano, we've got something called rit and a full stop. That stands for slow down. The technical term is ritardando, and this just means that whatever speed you were playing the piece at has to slow down. It's not in any way linked to the dynamics, it just happens to be that at that point I make it go quiet and the piece just comes to a close. So when you get there, watch out for that, because if you keep up the pace, it does seem to finish a little bit abruptly, but with the slowdown it sounds and feels a little bit more natural. And finally, we've got the chord in bar 25. It's just G major. We've got G, B, D in the right hand. Our right hand shouldn't have moved at all throughout this whole piece, so it should be able to still do 1, 3 and 5. And our left hand is doing an octave of G. Right, I think it's about time I play this piece to you. There you have it. Home, the entirety. Those dynamics are awkward. If you haven't got the piece down, if you haven't got all fingers accounted for throughout this whole piece, then don't worry about them until you're happy, and then add in the decoration that is dynamics at the end. So in any case, this was lesson 6. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know how you got on in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video. You can find this music along with all the past pieces and worksheets on my website as soon as you join my school, and you'll get an email with the link to everything. But in any case, stay motivated, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.